Hello, I'm Melissa Twigg. Have you ever had what you thought was this really great concept or product that you thought you could bring to market? And when it was really time to start diving into what was required for this product or concept to come to market, you think, oh, I don't have those funds, I don't have that expertise, I don't have those partners. And as a result, you just kind of let the concept or idea fade away, and then maybe a year, maybe 2 years later, you see the product or concept on the market. Well, I have. But right now in my life, it has become blazingly apparent that I am either to start a foundation for children or be a very large part of a foundation that changes the lives, but especially the thought patterns of children. And we need to get to them earlier than we've ever gotten to them in the past. So tonight, I thought it would be a great opportunity to share with you my mission and the bold and creative steps that I've taken to draw the partners into my path. And as a result, when you're thinking about your possible life mission, then you can take some of the steps that I've taken and perhaps bring your life mission to fruition as well. So last year I'm working in my yard and it's time for me to get to those bushes. You know, the ones that I was supposed to get to the year before and didn't. So I naively walk out there with just the hedge clippers. No, I went out there with the regular clippers. Forget about it. I had to go all the way to Lowe's, get a girly green chainsaw that I was just sure I could handle. Well, I couldn't. Have to go get a neighbor, burn a day away. And then as I'm walking away and pulling all these bushes away, I'm thinking to myself, Melissa, if you had just groomed and pruned these bushes from the very start, you wouldn't be in this position now and have to cut them down into these awful and ugly shapes and potentially be getting a letter from the homeowners association. I mean, it looked like a drunk Tasmanian devil had gotten hold of those bushes by the time it was over. So as I hauled these bushes away, I thought, you know, isn't the exact same thing true of our youth? We don't groom and prune them properly when they're young. And as a result, when they're half grown, we just take a chainsaw and we cut them right down, don't we? We put them in prisons. We tell them to go sit down, shut up, keep your mouth shut. And then they live a life that's mundane, like a hamster on the wheel, or even worse, they continue to live in a cycle of poverty and drugs. And we all know that some people even make a career choice to live off the system forever. Wouldn't it be great if we found a way to not only get them off the system, but to have them feeding our system for life and helping others? So join me at a recent talk that I did and put yourself in my position as you do that. And then hang around after the talk if you'd like to see the mission statement for my proposed foundation, Twigs to Trees. And these are some steps I want you to think about when you have an idea or concept you want to bring forward. The first thing that I think is important is to get the ideas out of your head and get them into the universe. Write them down, spit them out, zip them down. Sometimes the notes in my phone, when I go back to read them the next day or the day or two later, they are hard to read because so many things were coming so profusely that I didn't even get them all out. But it's important that you get it out of your head and written down. And I like to put them in my marinating tank, and my marinating tank is my notes on my phone, but this is our symbolic marinating tank today. So when you do have an idea, it's important that you take a lot of concepts from that. You talk to people who have a like mind. Stay away from people who have small minds or say you can never do that. Talk to people who have big minds. And then take it out. Something else will come to you. A book will come to you. A person will come literally into your path. And when they do, you take it back out of your marinating tank, and then you stir it around and put it back. And if it is meant to grow, it will grow. I can hold the title of a talk or a poem or a book or some concept for a month and sometimes 5 years. And I go back into my phone and I even realize that some of the things that I'd already brought out have actually already come to pass. And it's because the universe does start moving for you. Next thing, you keep yourself in a really high, positive state of gratitude. And what do I mean by that? The law of attraction is a very brief explanation. Whatever you think about, you bring about. If you are down here with gossip, if you're down here with problems, if you are down here and stuck in a situation, that's exactly what you'll continue to draw to you. But if you're up here, if you continually educate yourself, you're in a room with people who are smarter than you, if you continue to watch motivational talks, whatever you have to do, meditate, whatever you have to do to stay high and get high and avoid negativity at all costs. I can't begin to tell you how important that is. Somebody says, Melissa, everything always works out for you. You just always have so much fun and look at everything that you get to do and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yes, that's because I intended that. And then you got the person over here that says, nothing ever works out for me. I am always sick. And I try to do this, but invariably something goes wrong. Inevitably something goes wrong. Well, of course it does. You intended that. So you're going to be thinking anyway, get over here on the bus that's going somewhere. And what will happen is you'll attract the partners that you need. You'll attract the fans that you need. You'll attract everything you need if you're here. And if you're here, the law of attraction says we don't care what you're thinking about. If you're thinking about this, we'll be happy to bring you more. And that's exactly what happens. So get yourself in a huge and positive state. Visualize, imagine your concept or mission coming to life. And my favorite, take bold steps that'll move you forward towards the goal and attracting potential partners. Bold and creative steps to move forward. The next thing you want to do is you want to watch for your ideas to gel. You not only anticipate people coming in your path, you're not even surprised when they come. You will see that things that you used to think were coincidences, they're not coincidences. And as soon as you get used to and you anticipate someone coming right in your path, right in your very own orbit, regardless of how small your world is, it is nothing short of amazing. But you anticipate it and you know that it's going to happen. And the last thing is, realize that you do not have to know all the details. The details of how something will work out is absolutely none of your business. If you get bogged down in details, what happens is that's a form of control. And you might be on this path to do something, and then there's something that's better over here. Or there's something that's a different venue over here that's even better, even bigger. And when you try to start controlling all those details that come with it, you get bogged down in it. And you're like, I can't do this. Or now what am I going to do? So stay out of the details and just see it and feel it done already. Biggest sentence I want you to know about tonight. If you want anything, you have to see and feel it done already. All right, so we go back to the manifesting tank. I said to myself, what is really missing with these youth? And I think what's happening is not only our educational system needs some revamping, but I think we're not getting to the kids early enough. So I put that in my marinating tank. And then I think to myself, what are the things in common that kids have, and how can we get to them earlier? There's only two places that the kids will end up together, nearly every child in the world. The first place is the hospital, where they're born, and the second place is when they start school. So I have to put that in the marinating tank, and I have to think about, how am I going to do that? And then I think to myself one day, imagine this. Imagine my son's teacher walks into the classroom where she not only wants to, but she has to click onto a website. That website has a huge library that is grade appropriate. She goes to her grade and she chooses a video that's very brief, 3.5-minute video, that she plucks from days 1 through 180 of the school year. She lets the kids listen to that, and that is a video that is done by any number of speakers. It can be a world leader, it can be a mom, it can be another student, it can be any person on earth that has a powerful, empowering positive message about careers or anything that has to do with the younger kids are going to be down here learning about etiquette, maybe grammar. Then you're going to be learning about bullying when you get up to the mid-grades, and then you're going to be learning about budgeting and different careers as you get to the upper grades. 3.5 minute start to your day every single day starts with something that positive. And then I start thinking about the concepts for the videos. What about a chef? A chef comes in and he teaches you how to read labels, teaches you about carbohydrates, sugars, proteins, and then he teaches you how to cook more healthily or cook simple things more healthily. And then while he's doing that, he tells you about what happens in his day and what education is required for him to become a chef in the first place. Who teaches kids how to find a mentor and how important it is to find a mentor? And then think about this. If they know from the time they're 4 years old that they will be a mentor one day, that it's expected of them and they will have somebody underneath them always, you know, it's hard to act out a lot of times when you know that you've got a younger person watching you. And also, I've always said that the teacher learns as much as the student does. So what if we train kids how to find mentors? What about the kid who was bullied to the point where he actually wanted to commit suicide or maybe even attempted suicide? He comes back and he actually starts a support group. And then he rises above that, and then he's a guest on one of the videos. What about meditation? What about if we teach children how to meditate to control their anger? And then what about if we teach children how to meditate to become more positive or more creative? And think about budgeting. Who's teaching children about budgeting? Parents are doing an awful job of this, and we certainly don't learn anything about it in schools, and that's another thing that I want to change. Imagine this, a series that goes on from the 7th to the 12th grade. And in that budgeting series, the financial advisor tells us how to save, how to spend, how to invest. They tell what it takes for them to become an advisor in the first place. They tell what happens in their day. The possibilities and the speakers are absolutely limitless. Anyone who has an empowering message to share can qualify to have a video. And then comes the icing. The icing is where I want to have a mantra or a pledge that every child, after that 3.5 minute video, has to stand and recite to themselves starting at age 4. This mantra is powerful. It is empowering. It is self-affirming. It pushes a child to think outside of their own small world. And even though I have one in my mind, I want a really large platform. And I want to ask one question. And I'm going to read this because I think it's so important. I don't want to miss anything. And think about this if I were asking you this question. Knowing what you know now about life, if you had to decide one pledge or mantra for every single child to repeat to themselves every single school day, 180 days a year, 14 years per school year, that is approximately 2,500 times in their educational lifetime. That would empower them, grow their self-esteem, help them resource and realize their pure potential while helping to create great world thinkers, inventors, positive, powerful world citizens. What 4 to 6 sentences or what 15 to 20 seconds would you choose? It is a lot to think about. And even though I have one in my mind, I know that I need a lot of opinions. And I would love to ask everyone this question. So when I think about all this, I think, it's all doable? And then I think to myself, man, this is big. I mean, how do I do this? Ask my sons. My goodness, I don't have the computer skills that will allow me to do a huge database like this. I do not have the funds. I do not have the political power that it will take to make this a mandate. I want to make it a mandate. So I think to myself, do I just give up? No, I don't give up, even though I'm just me. I don't give up. What I have to do is I have to go back to my steps, and I have to start attracting people into my life. I have to attract everybody I need. So here's what I know for sure. When people reach a certain point of success in their life, And I'm talking about big people, people that have sold multi-millions in books and created airlines and all this. They have a huge ego, number one. Number two, they really want to share how they did this. They use the power of attraction every day. They manifest. It becomes so easy for them. And once it starts rolling, once that ball starts rolling, once they understand that, they can't wait to share it. So I think to myself, I've got to get to those people. So I go back and think about what's happened since I came up with the idea for the foundation. And a few things, and these are the signs that I was telling you about the orbit. A few things happened that impressed me, and it kept getting bigger and bigger. So first of all, my soul sister Bonnie, I was telling her about the trees and the shrubs and how I was trying to cut them down, and that's what we do to our youth. And she said, yeah, it's just like that ancient proverb that says, as the twig is bent, so grows the tree. And I thought, hey, my name is Twigg. And I thought that was really cool. Twig out of G. And I said, you know what? When they're in the hospital, they can be little sprouts. And then when they're in school, they can be twiglets and then twigs. And then finally, they can be a member of the Twig tribe. And then I put that in my Meridian tank. And then I run into a lady two hours from home telling her brother about the foundation. She says, I'm a graphic artist. She volunteers her time. She's going to do the graphic art. I'm in Miami for a wedding. My best friend's daughter listens to the story and says, oh, guess what? I've changed careers now. I build websites and I connect it all through social media. She's volunteered her time. Those are signs that you look for. Then here's a really cool thing that happened. I'm considering a business move back home, and I was going to visit a salon. Now, there's probably 100 salons in our community. And the one salon that I go to in little northeast Alabama, we go for a meeting, and I meet a girl there, gorgeous girl, who is friends with a celebrity chef named Chef Carlos. And guess what he's doing? He is working with children. He's teaching them how to to make good choices and how to cook healthfully. Guess who he's working with? Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey. Arguably one of the most powerful women on the planet and one of the richest as well. So now, through this little connection in my orbit, in my little orbit in northeast Alabama, I now have a connection to a chef that can not only do the video for me, he can also get me in to see Oprah at some point, right? And then we had this really shady little Senate race that some of you may have heard about. And I'm not proud of that, but I will say that I posted something on Facebook about it, and it kind of went viral. And that night at 7 o'clock, my phone rings, and it is a director from Good Morning America, an executive producer. And when he starts talking to me, I start laughing. And so I answer his questions and hook him up with whomever. And I said, before I hang up the phone with you, it's important that you understand, you think you called me about the Senate race, but you didn't. I'm going to be back in touch with you. My name is Melissa Twigg, Twigg with a G, 2 G's. And I said, I'm going to be in your inbox. And I want you to expect this. Please remember my name. I've got his name, I've got his email address, and I've got his phone number. And then I started thinking to myself, what if that's the platform that I need to go to? Maybe a contest for a mantra that will get the publicity out there, and then I'll have a pledge, and then the foundation will keep rolling like that. What if? And then I get led to the most awesome books all the time. And this one is called Infinite Possibilities, and it is huge to me. Huge to me. This man, Mike Dooley, was one of the authors of The Secret. And if you have not listened to or watched The Secret, I promise you it is well worth your time. Please get to that. But this author, Mike Dooley, is responsible for one of my very favorite phrases. And that phrase is, thoughts become things. And they do. Like an airplane did not appear in a field. Somebody had to think, I want a flying machine. That was the thought. And it became a thing, an airplane. This foundation is a thought, but it will become a thing. And so Mike Dooley impressed me so much with his book that I hopped on a plane and went to Florida to a conference to be near him, and about 250 people who have a like mind. And that's important as well, being around people who have like minds. The vibrations were awesome. Everything was beautiful. It was a great weekend. And while I was there, I signed up for something. It's called Notes from the Universe. And this is just a really cool little thing that comes to my inbox. I filled out an application, and I get this personalized note from the universe in my mailbox Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Comes in about 4:30 a.m. Here's an example of one that I got recently. So it's just pleasant. It's kind of like opening a gift every day. And I think to myself, he's got some really, really clever ones too. And he's got about 1 million people on there right now. And I think to myself, Self, imagine if we taught these little 4-year-old children to fill out, they already got a computer in their hands, teach them to fill it out, make a personalized message. And what if they get a message that's called Student Notes from the Universe? And they get it once a year, once a month. They can get it on their birthdays, whatever. But think about that, starting that early. We're inputting all these positive messages into their brains. And guess what? He's already got the system set up. He's got 1 million people on there now. What's another 1 million or 2 people on there? Or 6 million? Or 1 billion? And guess what else? Mike Dooley has a 3.5-year-old daughter. You think he's not invested? You think he doesn't want to make a mark on the world? He does. And guess what? He's my brother now. That's him and that's us at a conference. Isn't that cool? So anyway, I thought, this is really moving along, right? Then I'm led to this book. This is the best book I've ever read, and it came just in the nick of time. And again, here's what I want to get across to you. When these things come in your path, when all these things happen, they're not coincidences. You used to think they were, but I don't think that anymore. I know they're not. So this is called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. And this man's name is VIshen Lakhiani. And guess what this millionaire, billionaire author, best-selling author, entrepreneur, and huge humanitarian is up to? He is going to change the entire global educational system. And he wants to make it more life practical. Who thinks it's time for that? Everything you need is on YouTube University. You can figure out how to build anything, how to do anything right there on YouTube. It is time for us to change what we're learning in school. And this man is going to spearhead it, him and his billionaire friends. And they've got the money. He's got the system set up already. He's got the plan in place. He is on a rocket, and he is already capturing the adult market and re-educating them at a phenomenal rate. What if we get somebody like him to help and get to these kids earlier than ever, get his name, get his brand, and so that as these kids come up through school and as they come up and transition into the job market, it makes it easier and easier for them. They can go to the next step and the next step, and he has a library that he is building unlike anything you've ever seen. And guess what he says in his book? I am an interactive author. Write me, I will write you back. And guess what else he says in his book? He mentions his good friend, Mike Dooley. And I think to myself, wow, I'm going to contact Mike. I'm going to contact VIshen. And guess where this talk is going? The second it gets back from the editing booth, it's going straight to VIshen and Mike Dooley. And who knows what's going to happen after that. Now, VIshen has an A-Fest, and it's somewhere exotic in the world every year. And it is an invitation only. And there's an application. I've looked at the application and fill it out. And he has people that are so famous that go to this thing. He has famous speakers. It's just this incredible event. And this year it's in Sardinia, Italy. And it's there May 31 through June 3rd. And I was filling out the application, and it asked for my media. That's how many people are going to be there that are somebody. So I thought to myself, what could I do that would be really, really bold? So I bought a ticket to Sardinia, Italy, and Corsica, France, during that exact same time. In faith, I took a bold step, creative step in faith, and I bought a plane ticket knowing that I'm going to get an invitation to the A-Fest. And here's what I know about me. Let's just say, for example, I mean, he's busy. Hell, he's changing the entire global educational system. What if he's busy and he doesn't get his hands on my talk, and then I don't get an invitation in a timely fashion? I know me, and I have already seen and felt it done already. I even smelled the seawater that was coming in to this 5-star resort as I'm sitting there on the sofa having a beautiful cocktail and waiting on VIshen to walk straight through that lobby. And when he does, do you know what? If he has not asked me to the conference yet, I'm going to hand him this talk. I'm going to do something that bold. And I know that all of you are probably not as bold as I am, but here's my view on embarrassment. It's either quick to fade, or it makes for one hell of a story at cocktail hour or in a retirement home. So I'm telling you right now, whoever ends up in my retirement community is going to think they have hit the flipping lotto. We are going to have so much fun. So here is what I'm trying to say. Regardless of whether you're as bold as I am, I do want you to step out and do something that you have never done before. Just say to yourself, I'm going to do this. Do it. Embarrassment's quick to fade. Do it anyway. Bring it out of your head. Let it marinate. Anticipate someone coming into your own orbit, and never think that it's a coincidence, because it's not. If you are on the right path, everything will start to roll for you. And then you have to push the universe too, by taking bold steps in faith. And then you have to leave the details to the universe. Just let it unfold. Don't try to control it, and see what becomes of it. Yes. I would love to see your mission come to fruition. Stay tuned, my friends. Stay tuned.